At the end of 2016, the original lineup disbanded. I guess we just thought that we'd pushed it as far as we could for the time. I personally thought that we had unfinished business. A couple of the other boys did too, so we got together with the spare time that we had and started making music. We're having a lot of fun with it, and really felt like that magic was still there. We had something special to show everybody. With the world thinking that the band wasn't a thing anymore, I guess we had time to reset and reevaluate the way that we were doing things and really make sure that when we came back we were doing it right. And that time off, I think, really helped us establish the new direction and where we wanted to take things.
The new direction that the band went in with our sound, I think, largely came down to Tom. You know, we all sort of had our influences and brought our bits and pieces into the studio, but Tom's flavour, I think, especially with doing his mixing and mastering with Violent Sound, his company now, has had a lot to do with the new direction. Try it out.
Watch every light in the dark. Should see the look on your face.
I guess lyrically, I'd never put anything to paper that I was truly proud of. The music was maturing. The general ethos and ethic of the band was maturing, and I wanted the message of the band to mature as well.
I will run and burn.
So in order to get the wheels on this new direction of the band, we had to get some personnel in, and we were in need of a bassist and a guitarist. And we had heard about this one particularly good kid in Melbourne called Jack, and he was a bit of an Instagram weapon. Dude could really play, had some fantastic chops, and was posting videos. So we thought we had to go snap that up. So I took a trip down to Melbourne and picked him up. He seemed pretty interested. And we also needed a bassist, and we ended up initially getting Josh in, who'd been a long-time friend of the band, always in the orbit of us and like kind of friends of friends and that kind of thing. We got him in to do second guitar for a little while. He was in the Pest Control video, and then stuck around for bass and ended up becoming part of the family.
In November of 2019, we put out our first album, Global Warning. 11 songs that we'd worked so hard on for so long that we felt really represented everything that we could do. Put it out as we were about to go on tour in support of the record, so we really didn't know what to expect.
So when the record finally came together, we had a little bit of apprehension about how it was going to be taken, given the response from our previous stuff. And we were blown out of the water. I remember we were in the car, the record dropped while we were on the road, and just seeing everybody just the kind words just pouring in and everybody losing their minds over these tracks was just the most heartwarming stuff to see, especially while we were on the road.
You could see from the shows that night, the next day, that people were really warming to us and really liked what we made.
It was Josh's and Jack's first show in Brisbane, and pretty much every show that tour, every night went off. And that was the most fun stuff to see. And spending all that time with the Volvadinia boys on the road was they're just such a lovely bunch of dudes. Not a bad thing to say about them. Just had so much fun in every city.
We owe it all to everybody who came out to the shows and the fantastic crew that we had that kept us afloat. From Blake, who was hanging out in the van with us shooting every show, to Matt, our sound guy, who was making sure we sounded the best we could at every show, and Johnny, our roadie. I mean, really, we couldn't have asked for a better team to go out on the road with. Made it a tour to remember, and made sure it went off without a hitch. At the beginning of 2020, Andrew from Destroy All Lions actually reached out and offered to book us for Australia and New Zealand, and that was a big morale boost for us at the time.
Despite the pandemic and all the bushfires trying to get in the way, we began the year by signing a booking deal with Destroy All Lions, which opened up a whole bunch of opportunities. The first of which being getting the opportunity to support cattle decapitation. That had been on the band's little bucket list for a little while. I'm sure a lot of the little girls and all inside of us all were very excited about that. But that was a great way to kick things off. And I think that was the first time that a few of us had really played a large show like that, and sort of set the tone for the rest of the trajectory of the year. So at about 5 p.m. on the 28th of May, we learned that Josh had been involved in a fatal car accident.
I woke up to the news. Actually, I had his girlfriend call me and say that, she'd seen on the news that there was a car accident, and it looked like it was Josh's car, and it ended up being his car. So I called the band and told them what I knew.
I still remember being at work when Dane called the band chat and filled us in. You just don't. There's no way to comprehend that kind of information. You're kind of just stuck in suspension. And
it kind of felt like a dream. So I just I needed to talk to somebody else about it. And I kind of felt like as soon as I don't know what happened, but I was going to wake up at some point.
Him and I had been battling some mental health issues in tandem, and we were kind of at each other's support base during that time. We had become very close over that, and I had driven out just days before the accident to go and have a chat with him and just assure him that everything was going to be all right and that we would fight through it. But even to this day, it still doesn't feel real. Hugging someone and then 48 hours later, they're not a thing anymore.
Once we realized what had happened, everybody dropped everything that they were doing and came out to my place to meet up, and didn't really know what we were going to do next, but we just knew that we needed each other. Went and saw Josh's beautiful family, and it made it real for us, I think. It did for me.
You just don't think that it's true. And for the longest time, even afterwards, even after having spoken to his parents, you just can't accept that that's actually happened.
Got to have a really cool moment where, with lots of Josh's friends, we all got together at one of his favourite spots, just on the beach there, and shared some stories. Just I just kind of came to grips with it together. It was a really hard day. Every day since that has been really hard.
I was fortunate enough to give his eulogy at his service, which was a huge honour, and I felt really connected to his family in that way.
He gave so much of himself to this band before he was ever even in the band. He was there at the first show I can remember us playing in Sydney and the last one we ever played in Sydney. And was always such a good friend to us that we just, when we needed somebody, we knew there was no one better than Josh. And that was true up until the very end. He worked so hard for us, gave so much of himself to this band. I wish I could thank him.
So growing up listening to a lot of pop punk and heavily on the side of My Chemical Romance, Day to Remember, then it was just kind of a natural progression with getting heavier and heavier, like bands like Slipknot, getting into more deathcore with bands like Acrania, just absolutely blew my mind and wanted to get heavier and heavier. Really like to collaborate with Tyler Creator. Just think he's just got an incredible mindset and just his attention to detail is just phenomenal. Maybe the past year or two, I've kind of fallen out of just getting involved with a lot of different things. It's been a lot more music driven than ever. Just been on a constant grind of just trying to improve myself and get better. A few years ago, I was at the To The Grave shows, just knew Tom, Dane, kept in constant contact, then got to a point where they're like, oh, we need a dude for a music video. We know you can play, want to help out. And then just from there, it was a constant of, hey, want to do another music video? It's like, fuck it, dude. And then got to a point where they called me up one night and was just like, well, would really like you to be a part of To The Grave. And then here we are.
In October, we released our single Miserable Summer. It was our last song and video with Josh. It was a very special one for us. We had a lot of other plans for that song, but we ended up just putting it out so it could be its own kind of standalone thing. And really wanted Josh to be at the forefront of that and for people to take away from the video how much he meant to us and how much we miss him.
Oh yeah, you don't have to, you have to like turn it. Do you need someone to play that quick? Yeah.
We were at a point where we really didn't know what was next for us and how we were going to carry on. Fortunately, we had our friend Jared from Lifesteal and Dispossessed, he's been a close friend of the band for years, stepped up and really helped us filling in for the next record cycle.
Like, see it and then just push it, like, push it while you touch it.
were hit up by Unique Leader Records to see if we wanted to sign, and we looked up to this label for years, and the band's on their roster, so it was kind of a no-brainer, you know.
What's it? Just so I don't have too much. Like, in theory, I thought that was a great idea. I thought that was a little better than it was. Yeah.
Big button. Do one of these and pick it.
After having been approached by ISA management in Europe, we decided to put together a deluxe version of Global Warning with extra material on it and just make it a really special edition that for the first time is finally going to appear on vinyl with a bunch of extra merch and distribution in different parts of the world that just we hadn't touched before.
Working with those guys has been a dream come true, you know, just helping take us internationally, helping push our music to places that we really couldn't push it ourselves.
So in addition to all of this new material that we've had coming together, we decided to return to a familiar face that we've always loved working with, Elliott Sauvage. He has always done fantastic work for us, and we've always loved the way that the guy handles a set, handles the bands that he works with. He's done innumerable clips for some pretty considerable up-and-coming Australian acts.
The visual aspect of the band has always been something that has been really important to me, and we wanted to make sure that it was as visceral as it was presentable this time around.
Genuine pain in this one.
And the only way out is to kill yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is a wrap.
So I'm super excited for everybody to have a copy of the Epilogue. I think we've done the best job that we can to give Global Warning the wings that it deserved in all parts of the world. But we are already heads down, pens down, you know, writing new stuff for the new year. And I'm really excited. 2020 was huge. This is going to be even bigger.
Eat, sleep, grave, repeat.